Hello everyone, and thank you for joining. Today, we'll be doing a comprehensive overview of Regulation EU 2019-452, more commonly known as the EU Foreign Direct Investment Screening Framework. This regulation, which was adopted in March 2019 and came into full force in October 2020, establishes a framework for screening foreign direct investments coming into the Union. We'll be covering the key pillars of security, public order, and strategic autonomy, and taking a deep dive into the EU's cooperation mechanism. To begin, let's ask a fundamental question. Why do countries screen foreign direct investment, or FDI? The primary drivers are typically concerns over national security, the protection of critical infrastructure and critical technologies, and maintaining public order. To understand this framework, we first need to be clear on what we mean by FDI screening. It's a government procedure to assess, investigate, and ultimately authorize, condition, prohibit, or even unwind foreign investments, specifically on the grounds of security or public order. The key characteristics of this process are that it's preventative, meaning it reviews investments before they're completed. It's selective, targeting specific sectors or types of investment, and it's security-focused. A typical process involves four main steps: a notification or filing, an initial assessment, a more detailed investigation if needed, and finally, a decision to approve, condition, or block the investment. Now, let's look at the rationale behind the EU's specific approach. The landscape that led to this regulation was marked by several key challenges: increasing geopolitical tensions, a rise in state-directed investments, concerns about technology transfer, and vulnerabilities in our critical infrastructure. Before this regulation, there was a coordination gap and significant regulatory fragmentation across the member states. The EU solution was to create a cooperation mechanism to improve information sharing and introduce an opinion mechanism, all while maintaining a balanced approach. This was driven by rising FDI concerns, with over 15 member states having their own screening systems by 2019. The timeline was quite swift. The Commission made its proposal in 2017, the regulation was adopted in 2019, and it saw full application in 2020. The core objectives are clear: to protect security and public order, maintain an open investment climate, enhance cooperation, and ensure transparency. To give you some context and look at the numbers, as of 2019, more than 15 EU member states had a screening mechanism in place. Globally, over 40 countries have some form of screening. We saw a 300% increase in screening cases between 2018 and 2020, and today, all 27 EU member states are covered by this regulation. This isn't a new concept, of course. The US established its screening body, CFIUS, back in 1975, and we've seen major economies like Germany, France, and Italy introduce or expand their own systems in the years since. This all ties into a larger EU objective: strengthening its strategic autonomy and security. Strategic autonomy is the EU's ability to act independently and make its own sovereign decisions. FDI screening is a critical tool for this. It acts as a gatekeeping function, controlling access to strategic assets and technologies. It's a risk assessment tool for evaluating potential threats, and it's a vital policy tool. The key benefits for the EU are enhanced visibility over investments, better coordination between member states, a balanced approach to security and openness, and global leadership in this area. To understand the framework properly, we need to be clear on some key legal definitions from Article 2 of the regulation. A foreign direct investment is defined as an investment by a foreign entity that aims to establish or maintain lasting and direct links with a company in a member state, enabling effective participation in its management or control. Screening itself is the procedure to assess, investigate, and make a decision on these investments. This legal language is further clarified in Article 1, which lays out the subject matter and scope of the regulation. It establishes the screening framework for member states and the cooperation mechanism between them and the Commission. The grounds for screening are strictly limited to security and public order. It's crucial to understand the limitations here. Member states retain the sole responsibility for their national security. The regulation does not limit a member state's right to decide whether or not to screen a particular investment. This then raises the question, what are the specific rights and obligations for the member states themselves? Under Article 3, they have the right to maintain their current systems, amend them, or adopt new ones, and they decide which investments to screen. However, they also have key obligations. They must be transparent with clear rules and procedures. They cannot discriminate between different third countries. They must have clear timeframes for their decisions and notify the Commission of their mechanisms. They also need to have anti-circumvention measures in place and cooperate by considering input from other states and the Commission. When a member state is screening an investment, what factors does it consider? Article 4 provides a list of areas to be taken into account. This includes potential effects on critical infrastructure like energy, transport, health, and data communication. It also includes critical technologies and dual-use items such as AI, robotics, cybersecurity, semiconductors, and aerospace. Other factors include the security of supply for critical inputs like energy and raw materials, and whether the investment provides access to sensitive information or personal data. This brings me to the heart of the regulation, the EU cooperation mechanism, detailed in Articles 6, 7, and 8. This framework is designed to enhance coordination and information sharing. The process is straightforward. A member state notifies the Commission and other member states of an FDI at screening. Relevant details are shared for assessment. Other member states and the Commission can then provide comments and opinions. Finally, the member state makes the final decision, taking all of that input into consideration. A key feature is that these comments and opinions are advisory. They are not binding. However, there is a duty of sincere cooperation, meaning the input must be considered in good faith. Naturally, this leads to the question of the Commission's role in all of this. The Commission has the power to issue opinions on investments that may affect security or public order across the EU. It can identify serious threats, coordinate the information sharing between states, and it's responsible for annual reporting on the regulation's effectiveness. This creates a balance. Member states retain sole responsibility for their national security and the final decision, but the Commission facilitates enhanced coordination and provides expert opinions that must be taken into utmost account. To ensure the framework remains effective and relevant over time, there is a robust system for reporting and review. Under Article 13, the Commission publishes annual reports on the regulation's implementation, trends, and best practices, using data contributed by the member states. Furthermore, Article 14 mandates a formal review of the regulation's functioning. The first was scheduled for 2023, with subsequent reviews every 5 years thereafter, ensuring the framework can adapt to future challenges. So, what has been the practical impact of this regulation for investors and for member states? For the overall EU investment landscape, it has led to enhanced security of our critical assets, increased transparency of foreign investment flows, and improved coordination between member states. For foreign investors, there are positives like a clearer and more predictable regulatory framework across the Union. The challenges, of course, include additional compliance steps, potential delays, and increased scrutiny of certain investments. For member states, the benefits are clear: better information sharing and mutual support while fully maintaining their national sovereignty. To conclude, let's recap the key takeaways. Regulation 2019-452 strikes a critical balance between protecting the EU's security interests and maintaining its traditional openness to foreign investment. It creates an unprecedented cooperation framework while respecting the national sovereignty of member states. It boosts transparency and predictability for investors and has a clear focus on protecting our most critical infrastructure and technologies. With its built-in review mechanisms, the framework is designed for future evolution. Ultimately, this regulation represents a significant strategic achievement for the EU, providing the tools needed to safeguard its interests in a changing geopolitical landscape. Thank you.